Good day on another segment of the Politics Extra on Alive TV. My name is Shegun Tomori, and with me today is a veteran politician, a former director in the civil service, a former gubernatorial aspirant in Borno State, a former National Executive Committee member of the defunct Congress for Progressive Change, the former National Secretary of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the former Deputy Director General Coordination, the Presidential Campaign Council 2019, a member of the National Caucus of the All Progressives Congress, and also a member of the National Board of Trustees of the APC. I call him His Excellency, Architect Waziri Bulama. You're welcome on this edition of Alive TV, Politics Live on Alive TV, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Shegun. Thank you. Thank you.
How has life been with you after your stint as the National Secretary of the APC? What have you been up to over the past 2 years?
You know, as a professional, actually, in politics, even though all this is history now, I've remained engaged, especially on 3 fronts. First, you see, as a professional, I've got involved in architecture, and I was, luckily, elevated to the College of Fellows by the Nigerian Institute of Architects.
Congratulations, to you.
Thank you. And secondly, I also, have been politically involved behind the scenes. Soon after, you see, the dissolution of the Oshomole-led National Working Committee, controversial as the decisions were that led to the dissolution of that National Working Committee. Most of the leaders appealed to me and to my colleagues actually on the defunct Working Committee to take things as they were. This was an internal party issue, and so on. Exactly. So literally, I mean, we prevented our colleagues from taking legal, media, or any other action to challenge what really happened. So we allowed things to flow. So in the days, the caretaker committee that succeeded as managed the party, we cooperated and gave maximum support towards the president's effort at rebuilding the party from bottom up. And we were active participants, and we're engaging all our party members at all levels of party organization, from the polling unit to the national leadership, to ensure that we build a stronger, more healthy, united party. And being a member of the Board of Trustees by virtue of my being a former National Secretary, we were also engaged by the leadership of the party. I was part of that meeting the president had with members of the Board of Trustees, or what is now called the National Advisory Committee, in the weeks preceding our national convention, so as to deepen conversation and consultation to ensure that the party remains united around decisions leading to the national convention, as well as the emergence of our presidential candidate. And I was also very fortunate to have been one of the nominees of the president for membership of the National Working Committee, even though that did not eventually. No. A party is a big organization, with various stakeholders and interests. And, the president's overall aim is the good of everybody and the good of the party, as well as the good of the country. The president is a peacemaker, a consensus, builder, and he guides and mentors, people towards a decision that will unite rather than divide. So I'm very happy and feel deeply honored, with that nomination by the president. And I've also been engaged actively in management of the polytechnic sector in Nigeria. You see, I'm a chairman of one of the polytechnics, in Birnin Kebbi, called Waziri Federal Polytechnic.
We'll come back to
now the forum of all the chairmen in Nigeria of polytechnics elected me as the chairman of the forum. So the federal government also appointed me as chairman of of a committee called 2010 Renegotiation Committee with the unions in the polytechnic sector, similar to the BRICS committee, in the university sector. But in our own case, we worked very hard within the polytechnic sector, engaging all the stakeholders, ASU, SANIP, NASU, the National Board for Technical Education, the ministry, the minister, and the rectors and all that. So we kind of remove communication gap, mistrust, and we were able to have a convergence, on ideas. So we've been able to keep the polytechnic sector stable, peaceful, and in operation. Even well, the university sector was witnessing disruptions. So I'm very happy that being involved at various sectors of our political and national life. And at the moment, I've also been nominated into the presidential campaign council as a former member of the
national.
As a former worker, yeah. So, but the role is not defined yet. But I mean,
at least you got that recognition.
Well, not just that. You see, the point is we will do our best for the party. Being a member of the highest organ, the Board of Trustees, is such a huge honor. I'll be supporting the party and our candidates at all levels, to succeed, and I'll be working day and night to ensure that the president manages a very smooth transition to an APC leadership so as to continue building on his legacy.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I see you've had a handful over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So now let's come back to your tenure as National Secretary, the short-lived National Secretary of the APC. I understand your brief tenure, I think 4 to 5 weeks, was turbulent.
Yeah.
It was in the heydays of the crisis that consumed the Adams Oshomole-led NWC.
Yeah.
How would you describe your experience during that period?
Well, this is also all history now. But you see, but the point is, what is most important is the survival and the success, of our party. And this, as you say, all is well that ends well. My own personal decision, the decision to be National Secretary was personal, because I thought I was going to contribute to the organization, to the bureaucracy, to the operations of the party, so as to ensure that our party is fair, just, robust, an organization run on best corporate standards. And, as a human organization, rather than, let's say, any other type of organization that in other areas, the political party is a human organization. Its products are its membership. And, it is the leadership recruitment center, in the country. It is the only platform and access to power. It's such a powerful and most important organization. So personally, I wanted to sit, in the secretariat of the party and to contribute towards strengthening and consolidating on the gains of the party, because it was quite a huge thing that Nigerians, you see, gave us their trust in 2015, just like 2 years after the party came into, being in existence. So, but that period also was really turbulent, as you said, largely because forces, interests, and perceptions in the party, differ. And, in politics, aspirations, aims, and objectives differ, according to the different individuals, the different groups, and so on that come to converge, in the party. So the experience was short-lived. When I went there, actually, we were managing the transition in Edo State and the transition in Ondo State, and the governors, actually powerful governors, had an opinion and had an objective which differed actually with what the National Executive Committee, what the constitution of the party, outlined. Yes. And but all is history. We thank God that we were able to surmount this period, and we emerged. We continue moving, and today we still remain as the biggest party in Nigeria, with majority. We are controlling the executive. We have majority in both chambers of the National Assembly. We control the leadership in the National Assembly. We have 22, serving governors. We have majority in many states' houses of assembly. And the party is still united, is still strong, and is still forging ahead with, under the guidance and mentoring of President Muhammadu Buhari. So it's quite an experience. Perhaps maybe on reflection in later years, one can write something.
Yeah, we'll be expecting your on that. let me ask you, if you looking back at your experience during that period, would you say you would have done some things differently if you look back, with the insight of reflection? Would you say that you'd have done some things differently that could have brought a different outcome? What would you say about that?
It was a very difficult thing to do. We would have, continued to build on the achievements of the party, for instance. You see, this party just came out of the I assume the position of secretary just after the 2019 general elections. The 2019 election was one of the biggest record-breaking successes of any party in Nigeria since independence, because we won 20 states at a go. We won we won majority in both chambers of the National Assembly. We succeeded in ensuring that true APC leaders with commitment and loyalty were elected as Senate President and Speaker. We won the presidency by giving over 4 million votes gap to the second party. And we also were able to score 25% of vote cast in 35 states. This, knowing the kind of diversity of this country, knowing the past efforts at political, in the results of many elections in the country and so on, going back to the 12 and 2/3 issue that the NPN faced in 1979 and so on and so forth. This was a huge achievement for a party that was formed only in 2013, a party that actually decided to bury identity-based politics, because we consciously, came and dissolved SCN, CPC, ANPP, and parts of ABGA and so on and so forth, so as to form a broad-based national, united, issue-based, party.
Sorry to cut you
So actually, I wanted to carry the momentum that we had in the election, because I was deputy DG to the
party.
Yes, so that things like internal democracy in the party, cohesion, reward system, and so on. I knew all those people who contributed to the success of the party in 2019, for instance, and also in 2015. But many of them are grumbling and complaining that they are not rewarded, they are not recognized, and so we have record of this thing. So I was thinking that, look, we carried this into
your program.
Exactly. So these were some of my aspirations, but they didn't happen. And I think, but the whole thing is, the process is going, and I hope that we'll be able to, deepen conversations around these issues that concern members of the party and mobilizers and supporters, as well as sponsors, of the party, so that when we succeed, we look back and also engage them in governance and give them regard and respect and recognition that there's so much desire that make them to make these contributions to the party.
Thank you, sir. Aside being the former Director General of the APC Presidential Campaign Council in 2019, you have been a close associate of the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, since his days as a leader of the Congress for Progressive Change. What traits endeared you to the President, and do you think he has lived up to the expectations of Nigerians over the past 7.5 years as President?
Yes, the most defining attribute of President Muhammadu Buhari is statesmanship. Even before he accepted to join mainstream politics in 2011, he had achieved what was possible in life. He was, as a career general, he was a general of the Nigerian Army. He was a former minister, former governor, and former head of state. By any standard. You see, these are attainments that are very rare in the life of anybody. But he accepted, you see, when he was invited by the political class to come and join and give leadership to part of the, a political party and guide the party towards building democracy. He accepted. That was a huge sacrifice he made. He came, joined the political party, generated issues and engaged Nigerians, and he was able to inspire quite a lot of people in millions, to run for election once, twice, and thrice. And he didn't give up. He went ahead to engage like-minded Nigerians from other parts of the country, to form APC, by dissolving identity-tagged parties.
Yeah, parties.
Because most of these parties, even though they are national in aspiration, and it is only when, even INEC itself only registers parties that are national in outlook, not tribal, not religious, not regional. But the point is that the way the political system operated, under the previous party, other parties were suppressed, and they use the apparatus of government to ensure that these parties are not allowed to perform. Nigerians are not allowed to freely vote and express their opinions and so on and so forth. So we dissolved all these identity parties, formed a broad-based national party. The president guided, us towards emergence of the APC. And eventually, you see, when Nigerians endorsed our submission, our candidates and our policies and voted us into power, President Muhammadu Buhari has led Nigeria since 2015 with decency and decorum. He had refused to be partisan himself, both at the national level and at the level of our party. He had never discriminated anything to the governors on the basis of their political calling. Even the PDP governors said that. He has never, held back their allocations and rewards for political or partisan reasons. He has always kept his doors open for them. And at the level of our own party, President Muhammadu Buhari has refused to be partisan and getting involved in anything that will see him as partial or not neutral. He has kept himself as a leader who is accessible to all, who is treating everybody equally, who has equal access, given equal access to all the interests within the party. And he maintained that, sense of decorum, sense of decency, sense of fatherliness, and avuncular, posture, up to the point that we produced, our presidential candidate. All the 23 presidential candidates that as aspirants that ran for our party, each of them felt that he has a personal link with Buhari, and President Buhari has given him the go-ahead. But it was never in the open. But President Muhammadu Buhari guided the party and all our delegates to the national convention. It is at the convention that our delegates freely elected a candidate.
They allowed a free choice.
Yes. So this is something that is very rare. And President Muhammadu Buhari is always looking at the corporate boundary of things. Corporate boundary of Nigeria, corporate boundary of the political party. This is a unique, asset attribute that he has. And it's very, very impressive. He is at peace with himself. He's at peace with everybody. Nobody can, for instance, talk of President Muhammadu Buhari having this interest or that interest, material interest or political interest, partisan interest or family interest. No. He has led, himself and managed our party and led us, with respect, with decency, with decorum, as a statesman. So the expectation, looking at our political history in this country, or looking at the history of, other parties in Africa, what President Muhammadu Buhari has done is very, very, very rare. It's very decent. And even, days and weeks or years, preceding this 2023 election, he has said that he himself is not going to seek power elongation. He did that 3 years ago. He said that.
Yeah.
He said he's not going to, show interest in anybody. He will rather ensure that he will work for the party and he will guide the party towards taking the right decisions. He has always, led things like that. Now he has prepared the ground for ensuring that Nigerians vote the leader of their choice.
Yeah.
And you know what? President Muhammadu Buhari has also made some things that really work for Nigeria and Nigerians. He has really, really ensured and worked hard for the growth of democratic institutions, for the independence, neutrality, and unity, and the strength of democratic institutions. The political party is basically now a self-existing APC without any control of anybody. Number two, the judiciary is neutral and is passing decisions that are respected. It is not working for the ruling party. The security institutions, they know their work and they know what the constitution entails and what wants them to do. They are neutral and they ensure that peace and security is ensured during elections. They don't take sides. The INEC is known to be clearly independent now, and now Nigerians know and understand that votes, count. And that's why there is an upsurge and great interest, enthusiasm in the electoral process. And now, you see, the president has also ensured and promoted youth inclusiveness, because he quickly signed this Not Too Young to Run bill, creating the pathway for youth to massively participate in the electoral process and get elected. And in our party, we've also ensured that women, of course, guided by the president, now have been given waiver not to pay for forms. They just buy the expiration of forms, but the forms are expression of interest form, but the actual nomination form fee are free. All this is done, as signs of, affirmative decisions to help the vulnerable and the weak. Now we have freed the electoral process. We have eased access to the youth. We have eased access to women, and we know that the next election in 2023 will be issue-based, will be free, fair, and transparent. And it is only your own performance and your own credibility and your own merit that will make Nigerians vote for you.
You've thrown so much light into enviable traits of the president. I want to ask you, architect, do you think these enviable traits have transformed into exemplary performance by the president? He has just 6 months to go. How would you assess his performance? Do you think his performance has justified Nigeria's confidence in him?
You see, when leaders are elected and they get sworn in, they swear to oath of allegiance and the oath of office. If you read those things carefully, you will know what the function of a leader is. The function of a leader, first and foremost, is to execute the Nigerian Constitution. The Nigerian Constitution, in its first and second, portions, actually talk about that power belongs to Nigerians, and then the security and welfare is the next thing. So the role of a leader is to create that environment where Nigerians will have their rights respected, where their prosperity will be guaranteed. That is the fundamental role of leaders. And in ensuring that the institutions of state work, not for APC, not for example, Buhari, but for Nigeria, he has been able to discharge his calling and obligation to Nigeria as a leader, as a true leader.
So let me take
ensuring that
let me take you on that first one you said, security and welfare.
Yes.
Of Nigerians. You agree with me that most Nigerians have said, though there are some bright spots in this administration in terms of tackling Boko Haram insurgency that was a menace in 2015. But Nigerians, you agree with me that most Nigerians think there are new contemporary security challenges like kidnapping, banditry, and all that. Do you think the president has tackled this frontally so far? If you look at that in the context of the general insecurity.
Look, the point is you have to consider the different types of security. You see, what our party and one President Muhammadu Buhari met in 2014 and 2015 when he took over, and the pledges that he made to tackle insecurity, has he done that or not? In 2014-2015, the major problem in Nigeria was the Boko Haram crisis in the northeast, and also the militancy in the Niger Delta. These were both organized crimes. This one was around the one in the northeast is largely ideological, but of course any crisis or violence or insecurity is also swarmed by opportunists, thieves, vandals, and criminals, But for all that, whatever it is, they are all illegal, things, and this government was able to tackle that organized crime in the northeast, recover territories under the control of Boko Haram, take displaced people into refugee camps and cater well for them and eventually resettle them. The government followed that by ensuring that Northeast Development Commission, was created to fast-track, damages done by the Boko Haram. There is relative stability and peace, in the Northeast. Life is returning to normalcy. that organized crime in the northeast
I know
has
you
been
know that
sufficiently.
because you are from
I'm from Maiduguri, yes.
So you can
and
tell us.
I know all the territory. I know all the actors. You know, and I know really what the situation was before and what the situation is today. Life is back to normal. In fact, even the Boko Haram fighters are, you know, surrendering in their thousands. At the moment, close to 100,000, you know, have surrendered, and they are in the hands of government, kept in camps, and they are given reorientation and you know, and opportunity to get back to normal life. They have renounced their life of crime. In the south, you see, what we saw, organized crime around oil theft and so on, has also been capped. And in fact, that one was tackled much faster than even the Northeast crisis. So there's little organized crime in the South now. The emerging challenge of Nnamdi Kanu in the Southeast and Sunday Boho in the Southwest were also capped. These are organized, you know, sources of, these are organized criminal gangs and their leaders, and they have all been controlled and put, you know, under bay. Yeah, put at bay. But you see, in a society like with over 200 million people, that is underdeveloped.
Live TV.